Welcome back to Just Effing Vote. I am one of your hosts, Lucas Duguid.
And I'm Miles Hosie.
We're thrilled to have you, as always. If this is your first segment that you're tuning in, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome back. The most important thing for me in the world for you to do, if you're under 35, is vote. I need you to vote. If you voted once and you're not a little unsure, you weren't sure how it worked out the first time, we'd love to have you back. If you've never voted before, that's fine. If you've got questions, that's cool. You're not supposed to know everything right away out of the gate. We have a stacked bunch of segments that you can come and visit as you need with really, really great people who know a ton of stuff. There's no way we're going to cover it all in the 8 minutes that we've got, but I want to introduce to you a very old and very dear friend of mine, Dave Carrol. Thank you very much for joining us.
I'm over 35. Am I okay?
He's been known to be a little wacky, ladies and gentlemen. We'll try and keep him between the curbs. You know what? It's I could do an 8-minute introduction to everything that you've done here locally around volunteerism, around your commitment to community. You repeatedly set the bar over and over and over again. You're truly one of the local assets that we've got here. So now that I've sufficiently buttered your bread,
I love voting, though.
I know you, and so this is you, man.
I love it. It's one of my favorite days of any year when I get to vote. I love it. I get up and I'm excited for it. I'm excited for election day, and not just because I get to volunteer on campaigns, because I do, but I love the feeling of it. I love being able to go to the polls. I love seeing the people who are volunteering at the polls. I love being a scrutineer even. The scrutineer process is quite something.
Yep.
Like being able to go and like pour over the votes. It's something that most people
even if you don't
get
have
see.
to, and you're like, well, I'm here. So
Yes.
I'm going to take part, and I'm going to scrutineer these ballots.
It's really
sir.
something beautiful, you know, to be able to watch. And many times the people that are running the polls are older folks or people who are retired,
Sure.
and they're running these polls, but they're proud of it. You know, they're like, yeah, I was in charge of poll 135 right here in my city, and I love it. It's one of my favorite days every year.
There was something you said to me once a million years ago. You know, you said there are Blue Jays fans and there are baseball fans, and while I know that each of us has a team when we hit the field, there's no question about that. There's also no question that you're a fan of the game. You're a fan of politics and of voting. I mean, you couldn't have said that part better. Volunteering is a big part of that. So for the person who's under 35 right now, they don't know how to be activated. What's step one? How do I get involved?
Step one is make a call. Now, I did it a little bit strange, the first ever election that I got involved in, because, as you said, I'm a little bit off the wall. And so I made a number of Rick Mercer-style rant videos for a political campaign for our current MP who was he was running in the first election that he won. And I made these videos and I said, hey, listen, you don't have to do anything with these, but I made them. I want to be able to share them. And they were like, okay, sure, have at her. And they're like, I don't know who you are, but I made these videos and it was a way to be able to connect with the campaign. But the truth is that campaigns, and we're in a year where we have two very significant elections coming
absolutely.
up. If you see somebody who you like and you go, I really actually kind of like this guy, they're looking for help. And all you got to do is be able to call, because they need people to be able to knock on doors, to be able to call people in their riding, to be able to help distribute literature. Like I've gone, and we were chatting a little bit about this before, I've taken all of my kids out on the street volunteering, dropping off flyers. And sometimes it's knocking on doors and saying, hi, I represent. But a lot of times it's just walking with another group of people on a really nice day through the neighborhoods and dropping off campaign literature. And it's actually a whole lot of fun. In fact, I've made a lot of really great friends volunteering on political campaigns. In fact, I've made friends not just with the people that I'm campaigning for. I've made friends with people who I'm campaigning against.
Right.
and so, Lucas, you and I have been on the opposite side of numerous campaigns.
100%.
In fact, you and I have been at polls at the end of the day where you have campaigned for one candidate, I've campaigned for the other, and we're both sitting there and we're both enjoying the ball game.
Just being there.
Yes.
I think, I know selfishly, I could probably go on for a bunch of episodes about what an amazing feeling that is. I can never replicate that feeling of the big federal election in 2011 and all of those moving parts and what that meant to me emotionally. That was World Cup. That was Euro, all rolled into one. I mean, how do you not get swept up in that? You want to dive in here, man?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've done door knocking myself, and you know, I think like once you get into it, it's a bit addicting, actually, right? But I think you know, for some people, just that first time is the barrier, right? So some people come in and they say, well, I'm shy, or
they're intimidated,
or I don't have the time, or something like that. So like, I mean, what do you tell somebody who says I don't have the time, or I don't like dealing with people? Or,
there's a lot of different things that you can do. In fact, one of the things that I kind of like about campaigns, in fact, I think it's a bit of a microcosm of how different organizations run, is that if you come to a campaign, you go, hey, I'm Bob, here's what I've got. Campaigns can often go, all right, Bob, I can figure out what to do with you. There are some people that are very administratively minded and would love to be able to put together campaign sheets, to be able to go, all right, I don't have to go and knock on the door, but I can help organize what a campaign day would be and what a day of door knocking would be. There are people that actually are fine working the phones, and they would rather talk on the phone than talk to somebody in person.
Sure.
And there are other people that just love to be able to get out and talk to other folks. There's lots of different things, and I have got personally a broadcasting background, and so when I started to volunteer for political campaigns, and I've been the communications director for campaigns and on communications teams over the years, it was neat to be able to put my own professional experience into this world. And one of my favorite experiences we ever had was we created a really neat radio ad for Phil McCollman many years ago. And Mark LaFerrier and I, who have become really, really wonderful friends over the years, we still joke about this radio ad that we did many, many years ago. It was an older lady who was answering the telephones at the campaign office, and she was very old, and we wanted to be able to do an ad about how Phil does passport clinics for some of our elderly constituents, and we had her do this ad, and it was. I said, Mary, would you be willing to voice this radio ad? And she did a absolutely crackerjack gangbuster job on this thing. And Mark and I, for years, have joked about this ad. That he's like, when I heard this, I'm like, oh my goodness, we're in trouble. But it was so beautiful because this lady had no idea that when she volunteered to answer telephones, that at the end she would be starring in a radio ad for the candidate.
I got 8 seconds, man. I'm going to have you back. We're going to have you back. Thank you so much for joining us. Please vote justeffingvote.ca.